You didn't win. You didn't explode. Nothing about the last few weeks would impress a room. But you stayed. And that matters more than you realize. 2 months of this year are already gone. Most people felt something in January. Urgency, vision, momentum. They made promises to themselves with full conviction. Then reality arrived. Cold mornings, repetitive tasks, unseen effort, no visible shift. And something subtle happened. Not collapse, not dramatic failure, drift. They didn't quit loudly. They just softened. They skipped once, then twice. Then it became optional. You didn't. You showed up when it felt average. You trained when it felt flat. You worked when the work didn't feel cinematic. No surge of motivation, no soundtrack, no one documenting your discipline. You continued. That sounds small to the outside world. It isn't. Because starting is emotional. Staying is structural. Starting runs on dopamine. Staying runs on identity. Most men start because they're inspired. Few continue when inspiration leaves the room. You built something more durable. You built repetition without applause. You absorbed boredom without translating it into doubt. You experienced resistance and didn't interpret it as a signal to stop. That's a shift. Not in performance, in ownership. You didn't celebrate yourself. Good. This isn't about celebration. It's about reinforcement. You didn't need a breakthrough to justify the effort. You accepted that improvement feels uneventful most days. And that acceptance is rare. Most people chase spikes. They want visible change. They want proof quickly. They want reassurance that the discomfort is working. You tolerated the absence of reassurance. That's maturity. Because growth rarely announces itself. It accumulates quietly. Under the surface, your strength is adjusting incrementally. Your focus is stabilizing. Your standards are recalibrating. Not dramatically, but permanently. There's something else happening too. You're arguing with yourself less. Notice that. At the beginning of the year, it took negotiation to act. You needed the right mood, the right time, the right mental state. Now, you begin. Not because you feel powerful, because it's what you do. That's identity forming. You're no longer trying to become disciplined. You're becoming someone who simply doesn't miss. That transition is subtle, but it changes trajectories.
Or maybe you're just plateauing. Maybe you've confused consistency with progress. Plenty of people stay in routines that don't stretch them. Plenty of people repeat safe effort for years and call it discipline. Are you building, or are you just staying busy?
Fair question. Consistency without tension becomes comfort. But that's not what's happening here. You feel friction. You feel that quiet resistance when you push the extra rep. You feel the slight discomfort when you choose the harder task instead of the easy distraction. You feel the tension when you say no to something that would dilute your focus. That tension matters. It means you're not hiding. You're expanding capacity. Comfort repeats what it already knows. Commitment tolerates strain. You're tolerating strain. That's why this isn't stagnation. It's reinforcement. The gym still feels heavy. The work still demands attention. Your doubts still whisper occasionally, but they don't control direction anymore. They're weather, and weather doesn't steer the ship. You do. There's a difference between explosive growth and stable growth. Explosive growth is visible. Stable growth is dangerous. Explosive growth attracts attention. Stable growth builds advantage. Right now, you're building advantage, not through intensity, through reliability. Reliability doesn't trend. It doesn't go viral, but it compounds. Your body adapts slowly. Your skill sharpens subtly. Your confidence thickens quietly. One day you'll notice something small. You won't hesitate before starting. You won't debate whether to show up. You won't need a speech. Action will precede thought. That's the inflection point. Not when results spike, when behavior stabilizes. Most men rely on emotion to produce action. You're detaching action from mood. That's leverage, because once behavior is independent of feeling, progress becomes predictable, and predictable progress wins. Not loudly. I'm not telling you to celebrate. I'm telling you to recognize the structure you're building. 2 months down, no fireworks, no dramatic montage, just evidence. You kept your word to yourself, again, and again, and again. That is not glamorous, but it is rare, and rarity creates separation. You stayed when leaving would have been easy. You stayed when no one was tracking you. You stayed when it would have been socially acceptable to drift. That shifts the trajectory. Not today, not in a headline, but over time. You don't feel transformed. You feel steady. Good. Steady men are difficult to stop. You stayed. That changes everything.